In the video How to Do Things with Words, we analyze the three metafunctions of language and how these three metafunctions are present in every act of communication, helping us get things done. We saw how every time we communicate, we are doing three different things at the same time. One thing we do during communication is to construct texts by placing certain information as theme or rime. For instance, if we compare how the textual metafunction is realized in these three headlines, we notice that the focus changes depending on the information we choose as theme. The first headline chooses to focus on business sentiment, whereas the focus on the second headline also includes the idea of all-time low, which was part of the rime in the first headline. Now, if you look at the third headline, the focus there is not on business sentiment, but rather on the outbreak. So, if you ask the readers what all these pieces of news are about, they would say one is about business sentiment, another one about all-time low business sentiment, and a third one about the outbreak. The second thing we do when we communicate is to construct reality with the words we choose. That is accomplished by naming processes, participants, and circumstances in one way or another, and by associating participants and processes with certain qualities and not with others. If you remember, that has to do with the ideational metafunction. Another key aspect in how the ideational metafunction is realized is the association between processes and participants, that is, who is doing what. If you compare how the ideational metafunction is realized in these two headlines, we can observe important differences. The first headline is far less dramatic than the second one. Here, two participants, international investors and business sentiment, are associated with two different processes. In the first case, international investors stay away. In the second case, business sentiment is said to deepen. The determiner some also reduces the dramatism of the news considerably, as it implies that not all investors are affected by the negative business sentiment. The second headline is another story altogether. The same participants are now associated with two very different processes. Investors are now panicking, and business sentiment plunges in an unprecedented way, as the phrase all-time low suggests. Last but not least, during any act of communication, we also relate with others by choosing one particular form of interaction. For instance, we can choose to exchange information or exchange goods and services. We can also choose to make a statement, to give an order, to persuade, request, ask a question, tease, or joke. If we decide to make a statement, we can choose to state our views categorically or in a more nuanced fashion. All the choices we make allow us to shape our relationships with others in certain ways, constructing social identities and power relationships. Let us compare how information is exchanged in these three different headlines. In the first headline, information is presented as a fact. That is not the case with the second headline, where the use of the modal can indicates possibility. That same possibility is presented as less likely in the third headline, with the use of could. The introduction of the conjunction if instead of as also reduces the chances of some international investors staying away by making that contingent on business sentiment deepening. Now, how can we analyze the textual, ideational, and interpersonal metafunctions of language in a text composed of images instead of words? Pretty much the same rules we have seen for texts composed of words apply, although picture-based messages may often be less detailed and perhaps less precise. That means graphic designers may need to walk the extra mile and make use of additional resources such as background knowledge and metaphor to craft impactful messages using pictures. Take, for instance, this picture using a campaign by World Wildlife Fund on the dangers of deforestation. The metaphor of a forest shaped like two lungs can effectively convey that deforestation poses significant risks to our existence on Earth by activating our background knowledge, namely the fact that trees are known for absorbing CO2 and emitting oxygen, and hence life on Earth without forests would not be possible. I will show you now how to analyze the textual, ideational, and interpersonal metafunctions on an image step by step. After that, you will have the opportunity to practice with more images and receive some feedback.
I'll be home for Christmas. You can count on me. Please have snow and mistletoe and presents under the tree.
This is a mural by Banksy, a world-famous artist whose identity remains a mystery. The mural appeared on a wall in Vice Street, Birmingham, UK, in December 2019. A short video was published on the artist's Instagram page around that time, including the following caption: "God bless Birmingham. In the 20 minutes we filmed Ryan on this bench, passers-by gave him a hot drink, 2 chocolate bars, and a lighter without him ever asking for anything." The video begins with a homeless man drinking from a plastic bottle as we hear the sound of car engines. Shortly after, the man prepares a large backpack to be used as a cushion. As he's about to lie down, we can hear the festive song "I'll Be Home for Christmas" being played. The camera angle grows wider and wider. The music goes on, while pedestrians and cars continue passing in front of the scene. As we can see on the Instagram video, the artwork is composed of a graffiti on the wall, a real street bench, and a homeless person with some bags. The artwork constitutes a powerful depiction of the plight faced by many homeless people in developed countries across the world. Let us analyze the still image on the slide instead of the video. In which order would you read the different elements appearing in the picture? We seem to have 2 alternative options here. One possibility is to read things from left to right and focus on the man lying on the bench first. This is how Western audiences are trained to read texts anyway. The other alternative is to start on the right-hand side of the picture and focus on the reindeer first. The color contrast between the white reindeer and the dark brown wall seems to favor this option, as the man's clothes blend quite seamlessly with the wall. In any case, the textual ambiguity in this composition adds an extra layer of meaning to the artwork, forcing the audience to make sense of what's going on. After looking at the reindeer and the man, our eyes are directed towards the large green backpack he used as headrest, and then we move on to the 2 bags on the pavement. The last element one may focus on is the street bin on the far left of the picture, which, like the man's clothes, blends very well with the wall. The same happens with the sky and the name Wayne, written on the top left-hand corner of the wall, and a few green leaves from a tree illuminated by street lights. What kind of interaction is taking place in the picture? None of the participants is addressing us, so we, as viewers, are expected to initiate the interaction. In doing so, we contemplate a scene that takes place quite close to us because of the close focus and a slide below our eye level. What does this all mean? On the one hand, the viewers are being placed in a position of intimacy. They are invited to almost walk into the picture. On the other hand, they are being placed in a position of power. They are looking down on what is happening. Let us now consider the ideational meanings by analyzing who is doing what in the picture. We can see a real person resting on a bench together with a paint spray mural depicting two reindeer about to take off from the ground. The image can be considered a collage, blending reality and art. The scene is clearly staged. The color saturation is a sign of the image not being entirely real. The man lying on a street bench seems asleep. His head and shoulders are resting on a big backpack. There are two large plastic rubbish bags on the floor. Our world knowledge tells us this man is probably homeless and that those bags contain his belongings. As the man's face is blurred, in sharp contrast with the rest of the elements in the picture, he can be interpreted as a symbol of homelessness. The two reindeer on the wall are key to understanding the true meaning of this picture. Making use of our world knowledge again, we can interpret the image as a powerful Christmas metaphor, in which the bench becomes a sleigh and the homeless man stands for Santa Claus. The message being communicated is very compelling. We are being reminded that during Christmas, a happy time when family and friends get together, God, or maybe the artist, has not forgotten the homeless. How can we say things with pictures? We have seen how images can be analyzed pretty much like texts composed of words, using the textual, interpersonal, and ideational metafunctions. But an image can be worth 1,000 words because images speak to us differently. They have the power to touch our innermost fiber in the human soul in ways words can seldom do. Now, it is your turn to analyze the following cartoon based on this tragic story of Aylan Kurdi, a Syrian boy who drowned with his family alongside the Turkish coasts in 2015. The image of Aylan's lifeless body on a beach caught the world's attention, as videos and photos of Aylan went viral across the internet. You may check the following video from a CBS News report available on YouTube for more information.